Pay close attention to this video. A client was looking around her and then she realizes that no one was seeing what she was doing. She then starts picking up some products that were on the shelf, and as she was leaving, she comes across a woman who saw what she did. The customer gets desperate and walks away with the products. She then goes to the counter and tells the saleswoman that she wanted her money back. The saleswoman asks if the product was defective, but the customer only says that she wanted her money back. She then asks if the customer had brought her receipt, but the customer says that all she wanted was the one back and that she didn't have the receipt for the purchases. The saleswoman then said that if she didn't have the receipt, she couldn't return the woman's money, but the customer says that she wasn't a liar and that she wanted to talk to the manager of that establishment. The saleswoman said it wouldn't do her any good to call the manager there, because that was a company policy and she couldn't do anything about it. The customer then says that she didn't care what the saleswoman was saying and that she wanted to talk to the manager as she wanted her money back. The saleswoman gives up arguing with the customer and calls the manager. The manager arrives and asks what she could do to help the client. The customer says that she wanted her money back, but that the saleswoman was telling her that she couldn't. The manager doesn't ask customers if she had the receipt for the purchase of that product, but the customer says that she didn't have the receipt and that she was already getting mad about it. The manager then says that without the receipt, she couldn't do much, and then as a customer, says that she would leave and take her products with her. The manager then says that she could take the products away. The saleswoman then hands a bag to the customer and the customer leaves with the products. At this point, the woman follows the client down the street. She goes up to the client, says she knew what she had just done, but the client says she didn't know what the woman was talking about. The woman says she knew everything, and then the client asks her what she would do about it. The woman says that if the client didn't give half of what the client had taken for her, something bad would happen. The customer says she wouldn't do any of that because she had gotten those products from her own labor, and then the woman said she was going to call the police on the customer. She then realizes that there was a policeman nearby and calls for him. Seeing that the woman was actually going to call the police on her, the client said she didn't need to worry about it. The officer then goes until 2 a.m. and the woman says that she was just seeing if the officer was doing his job and said that he could leave. The woman then asks the client how they were going to do that, and then the client says that the woman could keep 30% of what she had taken, but the woman said that it was not fair here and that she should keep at least 40%, so that she would be silent. The customer then starts laughing at that and says that the woman would not keep 40% of the products and that, if she wanted, she could only keep 30%. The woman thinks about it for a moment and says that she would accept the deal that the client was proposing. The client says that they had an agreement and that, in fact, she had something that the woman would like very much. She then grabs something from her pocket and throws a powder on the woman's face. The woman starts screaming, saying that her eyes were burning badly. She then calls the police officer and tells him that the client had assaulted her. The policeman runs up to her. Seeing that the policeman was coming, the customer runs away from the scene. The policeman chases after the client for a long time. He continues to run after the customer, but ends up tripping, which causes the customer to run away. The client continues to run, but the policeman was faster and almost managed to catch up with her, but the client managed to enter a house that had the gate open. The client enters the bedroom of a sleeping woman and she hides under the bed. When the policeman enters the room, the woman, who was sleeping, wakes up in despair. She then asks what she was doing there. The officer says he was a police officer and that someone had entered the woman's house. She becomes desperate and runs after her children. The client took advantage of that opportunity and left the house without the officer noticing that she had left. As she was leaving, very proud of her work, she realizes that the bag she was holding was not the one with the stolen goods. Then we are shown that at that moment when the woman went to the client, she ended up changing the bags. Seeing that she has been deceived by the woman, the customer is furious. Meanwhile, the woman went to the store and told the manager that she was there to return the products that the customer had stolen. The manager doesn't seem to understand what the woman is saying. The woman says that the customer who had just left the store had stolen those products from that store and that if the manager didn't believe her, she could look at the cameras. The manager asks her employee if everything was correct and she said yes. The woman said she would leave, but the manager asks her to wait. The manager says she wanted to thank the woman in some way and says she could keep those products. The woman gets excited about it and asks if she was really going to get the products and the manager says yes. The woman thanks him and leaves.